Hello everyone. In this video we'll be discussing about thread priorities and thread lifecycle. First let us discuss about the thread priorities. The threads are created and started. Thread scheduler, which will be present in the JVM, will load them into the memory and execute them. The thread which is having the highest priority will be given a more time. So that means if two threads are present and if one thread is having the higher priority, that will be completing its execution first. So thread priorities will vary from, the numbers will vary from 1 to 10. So the minimum priority of a thread will be taken as 1 and the maximum priority will be taken as 10. So default, when you create a thread, if you are not assigning any priority, the default priority of a thread will be 5. So here there are some static variables which are present in a thread class. Min underscore priority is a static variable and its priority is mentioned as 1. Max underscore priority is the maximum priority static variable which is present in a thread class. The maximum priority of a thread is 10. Norm priority is nothing but normal priority. It can also be represented as a default priority. Its value is represented as 5. So let us assume the two tasks are assigned to two different threads and the two different priorities are given to those threads. One thread is given a priority 2 and other one is given a default priority or priority 5. After executing these threads, so the thread with higher priority, the thread which is having the priority number 5, will be completing its execution first, then the thread which is having the priority number 2. Let us see this with example program. Here I am writing a my class. There within the run method, I am using the for loop to count the numbers from 1 to 10,000. And I am using two threads. In the main method, I am creating two threads, thread 1 and thread 2. For thread 1, I am giving the name as 1 and for thread 2, I am giving the name as 2. I am setting the priority for T1 as 2 and for T2 as norm priority. Norm priority is assumed as priority 5. So you can start any thread first. So I am starting the thread 1, that is T1 first, and again I am starting T2. So both execute simultaneously. So even though the both execute simultaneously, since the priority is set as 2 and 5, so the priority number 5 is the highest priority compared to the priority number 2. So that means T2 should complete its execution first, then T1. Here I am printing the name of in the system.out.println statement. I am printing the current thread name as well as its priority, which will be completing its execution first. Let us see the output of this program. Once you compile this Java program, see you can observe the completed thread is 2. 2 is nothing but T2 and its priority is 5. So the thread which is having the highest priority will be completing its execution first, then the thread which is having the least priority. So that's how the priorities can be assigned to the threads, and which of the threads should execute first can be decided by assigning the priorities to the threads. Now let us discuss about the life cycle of a thread. Okay, let me clarify. If you are not giving any priority to the threads, so default priority will be taken by the threads. So default priority of a thread will be the normal priority. Normal priority of a threads will be 5. So if the threads are not differing by the priorities, so their execution will be happening simultaneously. So their completion also depends on how they are executing. Simultaneous completion will happen. Let us discuss about the thread lifecycle here. What do we mean by thread life cycle? Starting from the birth of the thread till the death, thread goes across different states. And these different states collectively we are going to call it as a thread life cycle. When the thread is created, so thread is created by using a statement called as thread followed by a thread name is equal to new keyword again followed by a thread constructor. We are going to create a thread. Once the thread is created, so it goes across the different states. So which are the different states thread goes across? We'll be discussing about that in this diagram. Observe here. Once the thread is created, we execute the start method. So when the start method is executed, it goes to the run method and it starts executing its statements. So that means, so when it goes to the run method, it is in a state called as runnable state. Inside the run method, it is possible for us to execute one more method called as yield method. What yield method will do, it pauses the execution of your thread for a while. So that means it will be in the runnable state only, but it pauses the execution of your thread. From the runnable method, if you execute sleep or wait method, it goes to the not runnable method. It can also be called a stop method. So why we have to stop? When we are locked or when we are blocked on some input and output operation, so we will be in the stop state. For example, in the previous synchronization example, we discussed about printing a tickets. So if you want to print a ticket, we need to wait for a few milliseconds of time. So that is nothing but blocked on output operation. So like this, thread can be blocked on some input and output operation. Once the blocked input and output operations are released, you can come back to the runnable state again. From the runnable state, thread goes to the dead state once it terminates your run method or the execution of the run method is completed. It can come out of the run method in two different ways: when it completes the execution of the complete run method, or else the forcibly user terminates the run method and comes out of it. In both the cases, thread will be dead. So this is about the life cycle of a thread. Thank you for watching this video.